Look, in the summer of 1998, a famous neuroscientist made a massive, highly public bet with a philosopher. The neuroscientist, Christof Koch, bet a crate of fine wine that within 25 years, science would finally discover exactly how the human brain creates consciousness. He genuinely believed that with enough MRI machines, supercomputers, and funding, the ultimate mystery of human existence would be completely solved. Fast forward to 2023. The world's top neuroscientists gathered in New York, looked at the data from a massive global study, and threw in the towel. They handed the philosopher his wine. Science officially lost the bet. They had to admit a terrifying truth. Modern science still cannot explain why you are conscious. We can land rovers on Mars, we can split the atom, but we have absolutely no idea how a 3-pound lump of wet fat inside your skull generates the feeling of being you. But honestly, here's the crazy part. In losing this war, science uncovered something even stranger. What if I told you that the reality you're experiencing right now is just a highly controlled hallucination? What if cutting your brain in half literally creates two separate people living in the exact same body? And what if the you that is watching this video right now doesn't actually exist at all? Stick around for the full details because today we are diving deep into the absolute limits of neurobiology, the bizarre illusions of reality, and what David Chalmers famously called the hard problem of consciousness.
All right, let's start with that bet because it perfectly explains why consciousness is so frustrating for scientists. Chalmers pointed out that science is actually really good at solving what he called the easy problems of the brain, like how does the brain integrate information? How do we focus our attention or control our muscles? Give scientists time and they can map those mechanical pathways. But then you have the hard problem. Why are those physical chemical processes accompanied by a subjective experience? Why does a specific frequency of light hitting your retina generate the vivid, beautiful, internal experience of the color red? We can build a robot that detects red light and stops at a traffic signal, but the robot doesn't experience redness. It doesn't feel anything. This is what philosophers call the explanatory gap. To really grasp this, think about a famous thought experiment called Mary's Room. Imagine Mary is a brilliant scientist, locked in a completely black and white room for her entire life. Inside, she learns every single physical, chemical, and biological fact there is to know about how humans see color. She possesses 100% of the physical data. Then, one day, the door opens. Mary steps outside, looks at the grass, and sees a red apple for the very first time. The question is, did Mary learn something new? Almost everyone instinctively says, well, yeah, of course she did. She learned what it feels like to see red. But wait, if she already knew every physical fact in the universe, and yet she still learned something new, that means there are facts in this universe that are not physical. Mind blown, right? This is why the 2023 Cogitate study failed. The physical mechanisms alone simply could not explain the magic of subjective experience. Before we move on to how your brain actively lies to you, I want you to do something. What is the most vivid memory you have from your childhood? Drop a quick comment down below with what it is. Done? Okay. If you're enjoying this, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into the weird stuff. Okay, so if science can't explain how you are conscious, let's look at what you are conscious of. We need to bust some brain myths. You've probably heard that we only use 10% of our brains, right? Total myth. Your neurons are constantly firing. You've probably heard that some people are left-brained and logical, while others are right-brained and creative. Also a myth. But the biggest, most stubborn myth of all, the myth that you are directly experiencing the outside world. Think about it for a second. Your brain is trapped inside the dark, silent, bone-crushing vault of your skull. It has no windows, it has no doors, it literally never touches the outside world. All it gets are tiny ambiguous electrical zaps zipping down your nerve fibers. Out of those electrical zaps, your brain has to guess what's going on out there. Neuroscientist Anil Seth calls this a controlled hallucination. Your brain makes a top-down prediction about what the world looks like, and it uses your eyes and ears to correct those predictions. You aren't seeing reality, you are experiencing a hallucinated 3D model of reality that just happens to be useful for keeping you alive. And honestly, it is incredibly easy to hack this system. Take the rubber hand illusion. It's a classic experiment. If you hide your real hand under a table and put a fake rubber hand on top of the table, and then a scientist strokes both hands with a paintbrush at the exact same time, within minutes, your brain will literally rewire its sense of self. You will feel like the rubber hand is your actual hand. If the scientist suddenly smashes the rubber hand with a hammer, you will physically flinch, your heart rate will spike, and you will feel a surge of panic. Your brain just adopted a piece of inanimate plastic into your conscious identity purely based on visual cues. Have you ever experienced a glitch in reality like this? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to share this video with a friend to totally mess with their head. Now let's look at what happens when this hallucination machine breaks down completely. Let's talk about Anton-Babinski syndrome. People with the syndrome have suffered severe damage to the visual cortex. They are completely 100% blind, but, and this is the wild part, they genuinely don't know it. Because their brain's reality generator is broken, it just starts making things up. They will confidently tell you they can see the room, describe your clothes, and then promptly walk face first into a wall. They are experiencing a full-blown confabulation that they mistake for reality. Then there's the Cotard delusion, also known as walking corpse syndrome. This is a rare psychiatric condition where a person genuinely believes they are dead. You can show them their own beating heart on an ultrasound, and no logic will convince them otherwise. But perhaps the most fascinating glitch in human consciousness is blindsight. When a person suffers damage to their primary visual cortex, they go blind. But researchers discovered something impossible. If you put a patient with blindsight in a hallway filled with obstacles, they will navigate around the chairs and boxes perfectly. If you flash a light, they can guess where it is almost every time. But if you ask them how they are doing it, they will say, "I have no idea. I'm completely blind. I'm just guessing." How is this possible? Because your eyes send data down multiple pathways. The main highway goes to the visual cortex to create the conscious picture. But there's a secret, ancient shortcut that goes straight down into the midbrain and the amygdala. This evolutionary pathway allows the brain to process threats, movement, and emotions without ever alerting the conscious mind. It absolutely proves that your brain can see, calculate, and act, all without you ever being involved. Your body is doing things behind your back, because what we are about to talk about next literally splits the human soul in half. If your brain can do all of this without you, where exactly are you located? Let's go back to the 1960s. To treat severe epilepsy, neurosurgeons performed a radical surgery called a callosotomy. They cut the corpus callosum, the bundle of nerves connecting the left and right hemispheres. Researchers started testing these split-brain patients, and the results won a Nobel Prize. The left side of your brain controls language, and the right side of your body. The right side of your brain handles spatial processing, and the left side of your body. Usually, they talk to each other, but when the connection is cut, it is like having two entirely separate people trapped in the same skull. In one famous experiment, researchers flashed the word Texas solely to the left visual field of a patient named Joe. That word only went to his right brain. Joe's left hand, controlled by the right brain, picked up a pen and drew a cowboy hat. But when researchers asked Joe, Why did you draw that? The left brain, the side doing the talking, had absolutely no idea. It never saw the word Texas. But it didn't admit it didn't know. Instead, the left brain instantly made up a lie. It said, well, I was just thinking about watching a Western movie earlier. Gazzaniga called this the left brain interpreter. Your conscious mind is basically just a PR agent sitting in a tiny office, watching the body do things and then making up a story after the fact to make it seem like you were in charge. You aren't the CEO of your brain. You are just a passenger. Remember that childhood memory I asked you to comment about earlier? The Buddhist concept of anatta, or no self, argues that the you from that memory doesn't exist. The self isn't a fixed thing. It's a dynamic, momentary pattern of memories. Does knowing you are a collection of post hoc rationalizations make you feel free or terrified? Drop a comment, like the video, and stick around for the finale. So, if physics can't explain consciousness, are we just biological computers? Philosopher John Searle tackled this with the Chinese room. Imagine you are locked in a room. You don't speak Chinese. Papers with Chinese characters slide under the door. You have a massive English rulebook that says, if you see this shape, draw this other shape. You do this perfectly. To people outside, the room is fluent in Chinese. But do you understand it? No. You are just blindly manipulating symbols. Searle argued this is all AI is ever doing. Processing, but no understanding. But what if we take it a step further? Robert Nozick proposed the experience machine. Imagine scientists build a machine that perfectly stimulates your brain to give you any pleasurable experience you want. You could be a billionaire or an astronaut living in perpetual bliss. Would you plug in forever? Most people say no. We intrinsically value truth over a comfortable hallucination, and sometimes people step outside that hallucination. Through high doses of psychedelics or deep meditation, people experience ego death. They literally feel their consciousness detach from their body. The boundaries of the self dissolve. This leads to the filter theory. What if the brain doesn't generate consciousness, but rather acts as a reducing valve, filtering an infinite cosmic awareness? So, where does this leave us? The brain hallucinates reality. The self can be split with a scalpel, and despite all our technology, science cannot bridge the gap between biological matter and the profound experience of being awake. Science still can't explain why you're conscious, but maybe that isn't a failure. Maybe it means that you are the universe experiencing itself, and no algorithm can ever truly capture that magic. But hey, that's just what the left brain interpreter wants you to think. What do you believe? Are we biological machines, or is consciousness something beyond science? Let me know in the comments. If this video made you question your reality, hit that like button, share it with someone to break their brain today, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.